The first step to regaining your confidence after going through a divorce that you didn't want is to accurately name the problem. You're probably familiar with AA's 12-step program. Step one is acknowledge that you're an alcoholic. In this case, step one is really recognizing that divorce didn't just end your marriage, it shattered your sense of identity. I'm a divorce coach for men, and after working with hundreds of men, this is something that I hear again and again. They feel like they don't know who they are anymore. They don't recognize themselves, the way that they feel, the way that they show up. They don't feel like they are the person that they used to be. A lot of my clients feel like they used to be this like happy or even carefree person before, and now that version of them is gone, and they don't know how to be that light, that beacon of hope and energy and joy for their children, for their friends, for their family anymore. They second guess their decisions. They have a hard time trusting themselves or knowing that they're doing the right thing. They often feel smaller. Sometimes even their body language makes them look smaller, more diminished than they used to be. Their sense of masculinity is gone, and they don't know where they're going. The whole future, everything that they had planned was revolving around her, around the intact family unit that they had created. And so if you've gone through a divorce that you didn't want and you're in this position, you probably know that you need confidence. You need that sense of energy and vitality in who you are in order to move forward with your life, but you probably have no idea how to get there. So in this video, we're going to go through step by step the process that you need to follow to regain your confidence after a divorce you didn't choose. All right, step one was to name the problem. Step two is to stop shaming yourself about the problem. There is nothing wrong with you. This is so important, you guys. And I know you're waiting for me to tell you, like, okay, you need to go out and start dating, or you need to exercise, or you need to get strong. Before you go and do anything to rebuild confidence, you need to take a step back and really look at what happened. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't break. Your attachment system is what broke. That's why you're feeling the way you're feeling. This actually isn't even at its root a confidence issue, which is why a lot of the things that you've probably been trying to do to rebuild your confidence don't work. The reason you don't feel confident is because your nervous system has gone into this downward spiral because your attachment system broke. Divorce is the severing of the bonds of a primary relationship. So if you think about us as a human being, right? Look at me. I have no fangs, no claws, not very much hair. I'm wearing a lot of clothes and it's not even that cold out. We are not equipped to survive alone out in the world. Why are humans so successful as a species? We're successful because of our relationships with other people and this big prefrontal cortex that we have. That's why we survive. Without other people, we don't make it very long. And now if we go back thousands of years or even just a few hundred years, we had a lot of different relationships that helped us survive. We had extended family, we might have had an extended community or tribe. We had a lot of different people that we worked with and supported, and they supported us. But what about in our modern society? Most of us don't actually have that many people in our immediate network that we depend on day by day. Our bigger survival networks have gotten really big, right? The people that are bringing food to the grocery stores are people that you've never met, for most likely. It's very different than when we used to grow our food, or even when we used to hunt or gather food with our immediate family, kin, and community, right? So the relationships that we're really aware of, the primary relationships in our lives, there's very few. And actually for most of us, there's usually just one. I've had so many clients tell me that when they got married, they really let go of a lot of other relationships and they gave everything to the marriage. But your spouse and your children often become your only primary relationships, the only people that you are seeing, talking to, connecting with, working together for your survival to build a life every single day. So we go from having this whole extended network of extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, nieces, nephews, cousins, children, and then neighbors, right? All of this extended family, extended community. We went from all of that down to this one person and the children that we're caring for together. So for a human being, if we, throughout all of human evolution, if we lost a primary relationships, if we were expelled from our family, if we were thrown out of our tribe or our community, we would probably die. Again, like no fangs, no claws, not very much hair. I'm not equipped to survive in this world without the support of other people. So losing the primary relationships in my life, that is a massive trigger to my nervous system to go into survival mode, to say, I'm not safe anymore. I might actually die because I've lost these primary relationships. Divorce is the loss of your primary relationship. And because we don't have this big network of other relationships, it triggers that survival response where the brain says, oh no, I'm not going to make it. So divorce equals the loss of a primary relationship. The loss of a primary relationship triggers massive nervous system panic, and that nervous system panic translates into the felt experience of identity collapse, loss of confidence. But it's not actually a loss of confidence, it's a loss of feeling safe. People think that confidence is this personality trait or it's something that you can build and develop. But confidence is not a personality trait. Confidence is a felt sense of safety inside your own body. And right now, your body, your nervous system doesn't feel safe because you lost a primary relationship, your only primary relationship. Okay, so we've got step one, name the problem. Your confidence feels shattered after divorce. Step two, actually get to the root of what's wrong and stop shaming yourself for not being confident. This actually isn't even a confidence issue at the core. It's a safety issue. It's a nervous system regulation issue. Step three is to separate you, who you truly are, from the roles that you played in the marriage. So if you look back on the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years of your relationship with your wife or your ex-wife, you'll see that you played a lot of different roles, and your sense of who you were really became fused into the role of husband, maybe of father, protector, provider. The person that you were in relation to her, that role you were playing became everything. And because those roles became so important, she became more than just your wife. She actually became the mirror that reflected your own worth back to you. She reflected back your value, your masculinity, your self-worth. But she became the mirror to reflect all of that back. And so when the divorce happened, you didn't just lose a person that you loved. You didn't just lose your wife. You lost the mirror that was reflecting you back to yourself. So we've got two different things going on here. One, she was reflecting you back to yourself, and all of these roles that you played in the relationship started to become your sense of identity. And now those roles are gone, and you're left with no sense of who you are. And so, of course, that doesn't feel very safe. And you experience this huge drop in confidence because who am I outside of this marriage? Who am I outside of this relationship? If you can't answer that question, of course, you're going to feel a massive drop in confidence. We also have the attachment pattern going on that we were talking about just a moment ago. When she became your sole primary relationship, she also came to represent certain things. She came to represent home. She came to represent safety, direction, future, purpose. So, because she became the symbol for all of those things that are so important for all of us human beings, when you lost her, you lost so much more than her. You lost your sense of home, safety, direction, future. You lost the roles that you were playing, husband, protector, provider, maybe even that sense of father to an intact family. So this loss that is divorce is not just the loss of somebody you love, it's the loss of all of these elements of yourself that she came to represent. And it's also a loss of all of these basic human needs for safety, for home, for purpose. She came to represent all of those things as well. So I hope what you're seeing is that all of that loss is very disruptive on a nervous system level. It puts us into this fight or flight spiral. You might feel panic. You might feel a lot of anxiety, anger. Anxiety and anger, you guys, fight and flight. Anxiety and fear, those are the emotions that drive us to run, to seek safety, to get away from what's hurting us. And anything in the anger family, those are fight emotions, right? Driving us to fight back, to try to protect ourselves. So if you are feeling any of those emotions, or maybe you're feeling like depression, hopelessness, overwhelm, those are all fight, flight, or freeze emotions. And they are a natural consequence of all of these layers of loss in divorce. But what this means is that you don't actually need to go out and rebuild your confidence. You need to regulate your nervous system. Because the truth is that while she was your primary relationship, this is not like 2000 BC, and you will not die without your primary relationships. Your nervous system doesn't know that. It still thinks that without her, you have no home, no safety, no future, no purpose. You don't have a role to play. That's what your nervous system thinks, but it's not actually true. You do have a future. You are safe. You can connect to a deep sense of purpose. There are many other people in this world that you can and will connect to. You can feel nurtured and loved and cherished within yourself and with other people, and your life is not in danger. But on a nervous system level, your body does not know that. It thinks that your life is in danger, and that's how it feels. That's how divorce feels. This is why the war veterans that I work with, men who fought in Afghanistan and Iraq, consistently tell me that going through this divorce was harder than anything that they faced in actual battle. How wild is that? Right? Their lives actually were in danger repeatedly, but this feels worse, feels scarier, feels more emotionally overwhelming. That's how much the nervous system thinks that you're not going to be okay through this. So this is why things like going to the gym and working out and getting strong, or dating, or taking up new hobbies, or just acting really strong, or shoving down your emotions, all these things that you do to try to build your confidence or make yourself feel confident, the reason they don't work is because your nervous system is freaking out while you're over here trying to build confidence. Which brings us to step 4. You need to focus on nervous system regulation, not on confidence building activities. All of these things that you try to do that don't work, like the dating, the working out, the stoicism, or maybe they work like a little bit and you feel a little more confident, but under the surface, you still have all of this emotional turmoil and self-doubt. The reason that they're not fully fixing your confidence issue is because they are surface level confidence fixers. They're not deep nervous system regulation strategies. And until you get your nervous system regulated, you are not going to be able to feel truly and fully confident in the world. Step 5 is to acknowledge the disconnect between what your logical brain knows and how your emotional brain feels. So you might look around and say, I should be confident. Right? Look, I'm a successful person. I've got a lot to offer. I'm learning from my mistakes in this divorce. Like I'm a good man. Like you might look around at your life, at yourself, at how your friends and family see you, and you might say, yeah, like I have every reason in the world to be confident. But your emotional brain is like, I'm not going to make it through this. I feel unsafe. I feel abandoned. I feel alone. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel lovable. And maybe no one is ever going to see me as worthy again, even though you have people telling you how great you are. There's a disconnect between what the logical brain says and what the emotional brain says. Confidence cannot return, not on an emotional, felt sense, feel it to your core, deep in your bones kind of confidence. It cannot return until your emotional brain is out of survival mode. And one of my favorite things as a divorce coach is working with men on emotional regulation, because when they finally drop out of that fight, flight, freeze response and they feel safe and they just can be here and present and physically safe in their body, and their nervous system stops all of that panic and stress hormone release, confidence comes back naturally. Creativity comes back naturally. Energy and motivation comes back naturally. Which leads us to our final step, or maybe our final 2 steps. You need to be taking consistent action, not to rebuild your confidence, but consistent action to regulate your nervous system. Insight is not enough. It's not enough to understand that your nervous system is dysregulated, and that's why you can't regain your confidence no matter how many push-ups you do or how many dates you go on or how many people tell you you're a good person. It's not enough to understand that. You actually have to teach your nervous system how to feel safe again in these current circumstances, which brings us to perhaps the real final step, which is to learn a process called limbic awareness. Limbic comes from the limbic system, which is the part of the brain where all of that fight flight response is happening. It's a very deep part of the brain, like very deep in by your brainstem. It's a very old and primal part of your brain, which is why it's reacting so strongly to the loss of a primary relationship. And the thing about the limbic system is that your logical, rational, problem solving, thinking brain, and guys, I work with a lot of smart men, engineers, doctors, business owners, men who are very, very good at seeing a problem, understanding it, and fixing it. But they run into so much trouble with divorce because that part of their brain has no direct neural connections to the limbic system, which means that no amount of understanding it, making sense of it, thinking it through is actually going to change all of those hormones flooding the system, making you feel anxiety, anger, and depression. There's no direct neural connections between the logical thinking part of the brain and that limbic system part of the brain. So limbic awareness is a system. It's a series of exercises designed to help you actually talk to the limbic system, to calm it down and teach your nervous system from that deep primal brain level out that you are safe, so that you can finally self-regulate, feel safe here in your body in this moment, and then you'll find that that confidence naturally returns and flows from that. Limbic awareness is a little bit of a process. So I created a free on-demand training. It's about an hour long that teaches you limbic awareness, goes into a lot more detail about how to do this, what this daily practice actually looks like. Think of it as rebuilding the foundation, not just painting the walls, which is what dating and going to the gym and being stoic and all of these other confidence building activities are. We need to get the nervous system regulated. Then that confidence will come naturally. So come join me in my free masterclass. It's called How to Take Back Control of Your Life After Divorce. I'm going to teach you limbic awareness, which is the same strategy that I use with all of my coaching clients to help them rebuild their sense of confidence and identity in a really sustainable and powerful way. We're not just sugarcoating things. We're not just telling ourselves stories or convincing ourselves we're going to be okay. We're actually creating that sense of safety and stability from the inside out, starting with the nervous system. So if you want your confidence back for real, not just temporarily or in the moment, come join me in this masterclass. The truth is that you haven't lost yourself. You've just lost access to yourself. And we've got so much great research on fight or flight that actually shows us that that's one of the changes in the brain when the nervous system gets activated. We lose access to the parts of the brain that help us feel confident and feel a deep felt sense of who we are. That survival mode takes us away from that. So when we get you out of survival mode, you're going to find your way back to yourself very, very quickly. All right, guys, I'll see you in the masterclass. Thanks so much for watching.
You can have a thought about your ex. It won't consume you all day long. I can think about my wife right now and I can go, okay, well, it's who she is, but it won't control me. And that was a significant point for me. That and learning how to forgive was a tough one, but I got through it.